In A Charlie Brown Christmas, there's one line that serves as a perfect example of a poetic paradox. It's baffled me for 30 years, but now I use it with my students each semester. The ostensibly throwaway line, 2 words, that's it, occurs when a super depressed Charlie Brown consults his friend Lucy. Lucy, a presumably unlicensed 8-year-old, is running a psychiatric help booth in the style of a lemonade stand. Lucy proposes several phobias as potential diagnoses for Charlie Brown's state of ennui. Does he have hypengiophobia, climacophobia, and so on, down to pantophobia, fear of everything? At which point Charlie Brown exclaims, "That's it." That's it is unusual because its meaning is ambiguous, and the 2 possible meanings sustained by the ambiguity are contradictory. It can mean that's correct, that is my diagnosis, or that's enough, I reject your diagnosis. We usually think of paradox as just a logical contradiction, but in its etymological origins, as holding 2 beliefs or opinions against each other, it can mean precisely that. When we encounter paradoxes or ambiguities, sometimes we might see them as non-committal or try and collapse them into either option. If you've ever received a diagnosis or news that you didn't want to receive, you know what this sort of deeply complex human experience is of accepting something and rejecting something at the same time. If you want to learn more about paradoxes in poetry, Cleanth Brooks' Well-Wrought Urn and William Empson's 7 Types of Ambiguity, especially the final chapters, are great places to start. International Poetry Forum alumni like Jorge Luis Borges, Mary Oliver, Mary Carr, Terrence Hayes all use paradox in very different ways. But my favorite paradoxical poet is Gerard Manley Hopkins, who in his terrible sonnets sustains these kind of paradoxes in almost every line. I wake and feel the fell of dark, not day is a favorite example. Fell here could mean a pelt of fur, so he wakes and sees night as this kind of despairing creature that looms over him. Or fell could be like felling trees. In this case, the night is vanquished, and there's some glimmer of hope. The next time you confront a difficult poem that seems to have multiple conflicting meanings, don't try too much to collapse it into one meaning or another, but consider what happens when you let these ideas live together in tension. Cleanth Brooks called poetry the language of paradox, and I think Charlie Brown would be inclined to agree.